Planning Board workshop. Case of emergency, please exit to your left. Don't take the stairs, don't take the elevator. We're going to follow the items on the agenda tonight. And Michelle, call the first meeting, our first case.
I will. Thank you. The first item is a case number PB 2025.06.02. Request by Costage Engineering, acting as agent for Beacon Estates LLC, Dan Kappa Jr. for subdivision approval, steep slope and woodlot environmental protection overlay district approvals for the creation of a new 5-lot subdivision to construct 5 new single-family dwellings on premises 245, 298 Newport Road and tax ID 077.16-1-31.21 in the R1 residential district. And Mr. Ray Ramondi from Costage is here.
Okay, and Michelle, can you possibly bring us up to, I forgot, what are all the things we asked them to do at the last meeting? Can
So
you go
from the
over that?
last meeting,
This can't be it.
which was, I believe, in June. We had asked, the planning board tabled the application in agreement with the agent and applicant, subject to address all comments submitted by the town engineer in their letter dated 6/23/2025, and the Monroe County Department of Planning and Development comments in the referral IR 25006 dated 6/12/2025.
Oh, okay. So is the applicant here? Yep.
The
Could you-
agent,
Yep. It looks like you sent a letter addressing all the concerns.
Yes.
Could you walk us through that?
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but yeah, we addressed, I believe we addressed each and every concern.
there should be one in here.
Can you give them a copy? Just, it'd be good if you can walk us through.
Sure.
So that we could ask questions on top of it.
Okay. Seeker, we went through and did the full seeker instead of just the short version that was turned in. Limits of disturbance, we modified it, well, we remeasured it to 1.26 acres, so that required us to do a SWIP, which is coming later, but steep slope protection district. We submitted a grading and erosion plan, and put some of our storm drainage scenarios underground to eliminate any potential over land type of drainage erosion. And that would all dump into a final product is dumping into the storm sewer that's up along the road. The item number 4, we did not get a geotech. They've had several over the years, geotechs done prior to them actually. The area that's now owned by the town, they excavated about 12 feet of material there and put it covering up the old dump. So they, back then everything was okay, and the owner does not at this point see the need to pay for an additional scenario. It would be very difficult for the equipment to get in there without disturbing anything, and very expensive. So that one we basically tried to not overlook, but try to say, can we get around that? So the Conservation Board met again on the product. They came and visited the site, still having some issues about trees and things of that nature. And again, we tried to minimize the amount of disturbance. I want to, actually, I should like take a step back, because the intention of this property, these owners would like to say they've got 5 buildable lots and then sell it to a developer. They don't have any intention on developing. So once that process takes place, the developer is going to hire an architect, and they're going to come up with some designs. What all we laid out on this was a footprint of where the area would be disturbed. It may be less, obviously it can't be more, but depending on this actual design of the home, it may not encompass that entire area. depending on the square footage, things that, you know, they may have multi-stories, they may come in underneath. There's a lot of options, but they have no intentions of doing the development work themselves, so they really don't have any ideas on house plans. That would come, and you guys would have the opportunity to look at those once the actual developer decided to come in and get approvals to actually build these homes. You'd have some more details on that, which we cannot provide at this point. We're simply looking at the rules of, you know, what does it take? What's the footprint? What can we do to eliminate any additional requirements for disturbances and things of that nature? But again, it's just a footprint, so we did the least possible scenario.
So, I'm thinking the application was submitted for subdivision and EPOD approvals. Could we, and it's totally up to the board, and I look to Kate for her expertise, but, just go forward with subdivision and have each individual lot come forward for their proposed building?
Sure, so I believe that the applicant's intent is they would like to seek EPOD approval because that way
It's more sellable.
it'll be easier for them to, sell this to a developer. So that would be, that's cleaner, but that's not what the applicant wants. So it's up to the applicant. So obviously, the applicant
Okay.
can decide if they want to just do
He's looking for
subdivision.
both because that would make it a sellable product that he can go to a developer with, versus having the developer have to come back through and go through EPOD work and then say later he can't do anything. So,
Right, but what Michelle's saying is obviously also an option, but
Right.
we understand that you would
and I could
rather
go through it
pursue
again
both.
with them, whether that's, consideration or not, but originally it wasn't.
Due to the, I'm just thinking because due to the impact to the steep slope and the wood lot, in the zoning code, the actual lot coverage and all the items that come up during chapter 235 of our zoning, it might be difficult for the board to make a determination if I'm speaking correctly, and please
No, I think you got it.
chime in.
You're on number 5,
Struggling.
right? You're talking to number 5 on the sheet, right? I think it kind of goes back to number 4. If you do them individually, then each person we would be asking for a steep slope and geotechnical evaluation on each one of the lots. That's not what you really want to do, is it? Or I don't want to say what you want to do. What I'm trying
Well-
to get at, we kind of went through that one kind of quick, and I don't think the response is what we were looking for.
Well,
to be honest
the
with you.
EPOD issue is, we went through the EPOD checklist, capacity worksheets, and the capacity worksheets came out to 5-point-something units were allowed by the law of what their code says. And we did that, we decided, and that's where we determined that we would get the 5 lots, okay? They have, I don't know how to say this, but they don't want to get into any legal actions, but the property next to them, adjacent on both sides, is within the same EPOD, and they've got a whole lot more than 4 and 5 lots there, and they were approved. So they're looking at the fact that a precedent's been set, why are you picking on me type of thing, okay? And I don't really want to get into that with them, but that's their next step, I guess, so.
Well, each application stands on its own, and we compare the applications to the code, not necessarily application to application.
I understand that, but, they're saying, why did you allow,
We weren't,
I understand, that happened long before, probably many of you were involved, but,
Yeah, I will mention, I believe that is it RSM development that's further closer to the water, that it did come before this board, but that they had no authority to ask for any alterations to placement or orientation of buildings,
Because it was
of
already approved.
utilities, all of these things. So, and I believe that the approval was more than 10 years ago, right?
Right, and they had done enough work, if I recall, they had done enough work that,
Environmental impact statement was completed.
right.
One that just came recently that was like 10 years
Later.
old.
Correct.
We couldn't do anything other than,
Right, because they had done enough work
Yeah.
to satisfy the permit. So, and I'm gonna go back to what Bradley said, I was just gonna go there, is we have to look at this one.
Individual.
on its
I understand that.
So,
I understand that.
so I think number 4 is gonna be a problem. And
Can you provide us with the prior
We've,
geotechnical?
we've really tried to, we tried to go through their old record, their father's old records and things and try and find if it was there, and we could not find the actual paperwork.
Do you know, well, I
problem-
mean, you know, if you knew the firm, could you reach out maybe?
Well,
or-
what we did is we went back to the firm that did it. They don't,
It's
it was
too
so
long.
long ago, they didn't have records. But what they did say is because of the fact that it's a wood E-pod, they're gonna have a hard time getting a drilling rig in there without disturbing anything. And in order for them to really go down, you're talking about, it's more than 200 feet to bedrock. So they're talking about having to drill some deep holes to really analyze what's gonna happen to the soil. Most of that is sandy clay loam, and it's, by the reports. So they're basically saying, if I've gotta drill 3 test holes on each lot, with a drilling rig, you're gonna cause a whole lot more disturbance than what the Conservation Board's worried about trees being ruined and the ferns being destroyed and things of that
More
nature.
disturbance than building the houses?
I was just gonna go.
Not really, but the houses are in a contained area. So, I mean, theoretically, we can go in there and knock down the stuff that's in the house area, but again, you're doing that without authorization yet, because those trees that are in that area are designated to be removed.
So,
Without approval, we're not gonna start removing trees.
yeah, so I'm not gonna argue with you if that's the case, but I'm gonna ask Labella and the Conservation Board your thoughts on what he just said. I mean, I'm hearing what he's saying, and none of us are engineers who can say, but we get a lot of these in front of us that do this and have never voiced that concern before, so.
So maybe the Conservation Board, you could just go through your comments now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We did send a letter to the board.
Yeah.
Our main concerns, I want to get to your point. Yes, you did mention the trees. We still believe that many valuable trees will be destroyed, as you know. I don't have to repeat that. As for the steep slope and the woodlot E-pods, on the plans, we just would like to see the proposed footprints of the house delineated and the grading plan visually indicated, since this is so close to the slope. With that being said, we have a particular concern about Lot 5 being situated so near to the steep slope. Perhaps the house envelope could be reduced or moved towards the street in order to keep the building farther away from the steep slope. And if that's not possible, we think that it would be too environmentally detrimental to place a house there. In the past, I know you mentioned the architect usually decides what it's going to look like. People have wanted to develop more on their houses. For example, put a deck or something over it. Our main concern is just because it's so close to the slope that if they wanted to do that in the future, there may not be enough room or it might not be possible. So those are our main concerns. Lastly, we would like to see the details concerning the retaining wall on Lot 1 in this revised application. And on the sheet with the grading plan, we could not find the limits of disturbance lines. Would just like to see these noted more clearly. And we urge the planning board to require orange construction fence to be placed at the limits of disturbances on the site to avoid any spillover grading. So,
That is outlined on the grading plan. It's listed as the LOD, and the SRF is the orange fence you're requiring. It would be around the perimeter, so.
Okay, I'm gonna ask for your help here. I think the Conservation Board's comments
Sure.
are more in supportive of why we wanna see a steep slope and geographical.
Sure,
evaluation.
so,
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kinda what I heard. Is
Sure,
that
yeah.
these are all the reasons why they want it. And I'm also hearing the applicant saying it's gonna cause more disturbance, which is going against what they want. So I'd just like a kind of a professional opinion on how we get through this.
Sure, so, at this point, currently, Mary Stebline is reviewing this plan. She's a PE. I'll say I'm not an engineer, I'm a planner, so she will be able to speak to that. So I do just have a couple of questions. Have you gotten the JD for the wetland yet?
The JD for the wetland is right now in the 10-day window as far as we sent that last week, and it will expire this Wednesday. If we have not heard word from them, that would give us a 5-year exemption.
Okay. Also, for the slope of the driveways, are there any that are above 10?
No, we addressed all that. They're
Okay.
all below 10%, and again, if there's ways of even reducing it further, depending on the house design. They can have a lower level garage underneath part of the basement. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities, but that's gonna be up to the architect and the developer. We just gave them some ideas. Again, they don't want to be a developer. They just want to be able to sell it to a developer.
Okay. And have you talked to DPW about stormwater? 'Cause, I thought maybe you indicated that you were gonna tie into existing.
Yes. We're bringing in, that's the plan. Again, depending on, we're telling them that they would have to go underground and bring it up to the road. Depending on the size of the houses, again, that's gonna change, the volume. If it's got 3 bathrooms or 4 bathrooms, it's gonna change the volume of material, and it's gonna change the volume of stormwater depending on the roof area. So, I mean, we really can't hone it down at this point, but
Okay.
you'll have we basically, I said, we made a square footage worst-case scenario
Okay.
and designed it for that.
What is the square footage of the conjectural houses?
We basically made a 2,000 square foot footprint. Okay, now it could be
Yeah.
smaller and higher, it could be, but we said worst-case scenario is you're gonna build a 2,000 square foot ranch on this property. It's gonna be all one story, here it is, here's your outline. You can't go any farther than this dotted line.
Do these footprints meet all the lot requirements of setback and?
Yes. Now, in addressing the Conservation Board's issue on that one lot that the steep slope is in the northeast corner, we were talking about, that can be addressed by design. It can be moved, or the developer can ask for a variance for the front setback to bring it closer to the road. There's a few options, but again, we're not at that point yet. If he wants to build it, and, he would only have to get an area variance from the zoning board to move it closer to the road, and eliminate that back corner. It's about 10 feet, 20 feet away from the setback line, so.
So, Mr. Ramondi, if I recall, when you first came, these homes are gonna be high-end homes is what you're expecting, right?
He's expecting it to be
And and correct me if I'm wrong on what I'm hearing, you're expressing concerns that it's gonna cost a lot of money to do this evaluation, number one. Number two, it's gonna take out a lot of vegetation or whatever. But wouldn't you think if they're gonna put high-end homes in there, they're gonna want this type of an evaluation to make sure that, the cliff isn't gonna come rolling into their, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm gonna look for LaBella to help me here. I mean, I'm not getting the logic behind why you wouldn't wanna do this.
because they don't want to do it because of the cost. It's
Okay.
their basically scenario is this is something that should be put on the developer, not them. He's going to make the profit. They're
You should do
just
these
selling some
separate
land.
lots and have each developer come, and then they're gonna have to do it 5 times. That's crazy. But, well, I shouldn't.
I mean, that's their
I gotta be careful what I say.
that's their point of view at this point. It's why should they invest money in things they're not going to get back? They're only going to be able to sell the property as buildable land, and they're not going to make a whole lot of profit on it. The developer is going to be the guy that makes the profit, and they figure if he's got to do the things that the board requires, then let him do it.
I think it would be better and more informed. I mean, I guess it could be done this way, but right now we're trying to make a determination based on something that is very preliminary and may take this, not even come close to this shape or form. So, you know, I almost feel like it's setting up for if somebody comes in and buys this lot, it's probably not likely that they're going to want to build this particular house in this particular footprint with this particular driveway. So I would much rather have the developer come, you know, after they've acquired the lot and say, this is the house, this is the driveway, these are the exact trees that we're going to bother and not going to bother. You could make a much more informed decision with all of the information. Right now, you know, we're kind of setting a parameter of a conjectural house that in all likelihood is going to have to come back again anyways because it probably won't conform to what's been approved.
So you're asking us to approve it so that it can sell better, but yet, when it sells to somebody, then we're gonna say, oh, sorry, we changed our mind, you need to do more of an evaluation.
You know,
It's
and
not,
that's their point. They're, you know, an approved building lot versus a raw piece of land that's not developable.
I follow it.
So you got, you know, they're just looking to try and get that scenario where you got a sellable product to somebody. I mean, I can discuss these issues with them again and see if they're
I mean,
willing.
I very much am, you know, thrilled to hear they wanna build these high-end homes there. I mean, some of the views are hopefully
Yeah.
gonna be spectacular.
I mean, they'd be comparable to the trail right behind them or more at that point. So,
I mean, it's hard to know what they'd be comparable to until we can see the plans. I mean, I don't really have any issue with the subdivision or whatever, but I am concerned about giving the EPOD permits without all of the information. And especially when we're trying to limit areas of disturbance, someone may come in and say, I don't want to build a 2,000 square foot ranch. I want to build, you know, a 1,000 foot two-story house that is actually better
Right.
because it's going to disturb less. Right now, we're kind of clearing out a whole swath, and in fact, allowing anyone to clear that out, even if they don't have to, which is contrary to the point of what we're supposed to be doing with the EPOD, is limiting as much as
Understand.
possible.
Yeah, and where I'm struggling is, did they actually engage somebody to do this and they told them this, or?
they requested two places to give them a price on doing this. And, it was, to them, it was astronomical. And they did express concerns about, well, you know, you expect us to go in there and dig 100 feet deep with a shovel because we got to bring a drilling rig in there and you just told us we can't disturb any of the soil or any of the trees.
When you were here, like a month ago or 2 months ago, whatever it was, I thought the owners said, or you said that they had these tests done sometime back, maybe a couple times.
They believe their father had it done back when the Newport development was going up for sale. They had it done back then. I can't get my hands on it. They can't get their hands on it.
They don't remember.
So it's probably 20 years ago. But again, 20 years, the soils don't change, and
But nothing gets filed anywhere when that happens?
it would.
Nothing with the
I don't know.
county?
Where would it be? I mean, the
I-
town should have a copy somewhere, maybe. I don't know.
but
you
I,
were-
'cause I don't know why I thought they said that they had it done a couple times.
He believes that his father had it done when he had the original sell of the property to Casera up above, and all that, because that was also a steep slope in EPOD area, and he believes it was done by that, and it was done when he sold the land down below. But it was never done on those 5 parcels.
I think you're hearing the sentiment of the board.
I understand
And John,
completely.
you haven't said anything.
Again, it's not my
David,
choice, but-
Do you have any comments to make?
No, it's more regarding the geotechnical, you know. We have to do seeker for this project and type 1 coordinated review, so we have to do the long form. So the question's gonna come up about impacts to slopes greater than 15%. You know, and just looking at your long form part 1, you know, you're at 53%. So in the resolution, we're gonna have to give an explanation for, you know, if we were to grant it, why, you know, what are the mitigating circumstances there? So, you know, that would just be for us to do seeker on it, so.
Yeah, I think the scenario is, like you said, I understand your point of view, and I have to go back to them and try to determine if I can talk them into just getting the subdivision approved and letting the developer do the EPOD work at this point. I mean, that's an option for
Michelle,
them.
is that what you recommend? I'm sorry, is that what you said is an option? They could just do this, yeah.
In terms of, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I understand that you did the capacity worksheet. However, is that your client amenable to 4 lots, maybe taking out whatever's the most problematic? And something along those lines, or, is it sort of hard on the 5 lots?
I don't know what their opinion's gonna be about that. I
Sure.
know that, you know, there's 3 on the one side, 2 on the other. If they were to be able to, do 3 on one side and 1 on the other, they may be, you know, they're just looking at, you know,
Sure. I'm
know-
just asking because I know that obviously they determine how many need to go there based on what money they put in and all of those things.
the thing is, if we reduce the lots on the north side from 2 to 1, that takes care of a steep slope issue. It doesn't address anything with the trees, because the trees are all on the south side. So, I mean, there's 2 scenarios, and, you know, to then, like, limit that side to 2 lots, with example, you're basically, you know, I don't think you're financially gonna get any.
Sure. I just put it out there.
But yeah, I mean, there's certainly something I can go back to them and get some ideas on options.
John or David, was there anything more you wanted to?
See, just getting back to lot 5, you know, if you did reduce that down to 1, you know, with the trees coming into play, you could almost center the placement of the house, garage on the west side, so you're almost kind of threading the needle with the driveway to get through there. You know, you might be taking out a couple trees, but those main ones there with the larger calipers, you could potentially preserve.
You're talking about lot 1, John, I'm sorry,
Lot 5,
lot 5.
combining that with the other lot, so you're doing one
One lot out of the
house,
2.
and then you're just working on the placement to avoid the trees with the larger calipers.
But there's only 1 lot.
Like I said, I could take your comments back to the owners and see what kind of options we can work on. I can't make those decisions, so.
I hear you right.
Well, I mean, we want to be helpful here.
I understand,
Yeah,
I
and-
understand. We're not opposition.
Right. David, did you have anything you wanted to add to it?
No, not right now. No.
Okay. You feel the same way, or? Okay.
I'll add that, I'll take, obviously Mary is reviewing this, and I'll talk to Wes as well, talk about the geotech aspect of this, see if there's some other sort of alternative, sort of have a more definitive stance on that for you all. But we'll take a look at the revised grading and those things and see if that changes anything.
I think I provided the soil report. It is, like I said, it's well over 200 feet to bedrock, and water table, and it's listed as very high drainable sandy soil. So, I mean, this, you know, I'm sure if we were to do a perk test in there, we'd find out that we're getting, you know, less than 10-minute perks, so.
Sure, so we'll look into that in addition to reviewing the SWIP as well.
And that's something, you know, that they wouldn't be opposed to, doing some perk testing, but that's only gonna tell you, you know, what the
Sure.
top 3 feet of soil look like.
Did you see the letter from Scott Davis?
I don't believe I did.
Give them a copy.
What? It was a while ago?
There's a letter in here from Mr. Davis talking about the trees. He's suggesting that a buffer zone between the established trees and the area of disturbance being 1 foot in radius per 1 inch of diameter at breast height. So he's saying that a 10-inch diameter tree would need to have a fence placed in a circle 10 feet away from the trunk. Is that even, like, that seems very challenging.
Typically, when we mark trees for not being disturbed, we put a perimeter fence around them.
1 foot for every inch at breast height?
We'd probably put it 1 foot for every foot.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's,
So he attached a bunch of photographs of, you know, areas in the same area where this has gone wrong, and I can see why that's a difficult challenge to meet, particularly when I look at this site plan, and if you were to have to put a fence 1 foot, I mean,
Yeah, that's gonna be all fenced.
yeah, it seemed like it would be very challenging.
Well, you know, it's difficult to, I mean, and I'm not a person that knows a lot about trees, but I know the roots, you know, the thicker you go and the taller you go, the bigger the
Sure.
root diameters are, obviously, so, but the different trees have different root depths, and
Right. So I'm curious. So like, if you do want to go forward with something besides subdivision, which, I would want to hear about how you would meet that criteria for the area of disturbance, because, or even something close to that, because.
again, if we go forward with just subdivision,
Yeah,
they're gonna
then
look.
somebody
then
else can deal with
Somebody
that.
else, that's gonna be the developer's.
Right.
Requirements that are gonna be,
Right.
you know, and, you know, that may be something they're willing to do.
Okay.
You know, they may put a contingency in there or something, but that's not up to me, so,
Back on July 22nd, I sent them.
okay.
Mr.
That's a pretty big file of this.
Yeah, it is. It took me a minute to find it.
Mr. Ramondi, do you want to go through any of the other things? I mean, we sort of hit the big one there. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the big concern one, and that the rest of them have been addressed pretty much. I don't believe we'll have a kickback on the other items that we did agree to, because they're all taken care of, and somehow. That was the big one, and I think, you know, we have to come up with an option for that, so.
Well, can you just walk through them? I just want to make sure, because
Sure.
these were Labella, some of these were Labella requests.
Again, we said,
So you stopped on number 5, I think, so you're on 6.
yeah,
You
driveway
addressed
slope, we lowered all the driveway slopes below 10%.
Okay.
Site distance, we checked out the site distance, and the road itself is a 15-mile-per-hour requirement, and we got a pretty good amount of site distance to that. If somebody's going down there faster, you know, it's a curvy road, and you're limited. So, and again, we don't want to take down trees on the road perimeter so that we get sight, but your site distance is at a specific height, and a lot of the trees and stuff, you can look underneath them, so I don't believe we have an issue with that. Sanitary sewers, like I said, he would have to run a new sanitary sewer along the road, and each of the houses would tie into that. Again, that's gonna be the developer's issue. They're not gonna put in any infrastructure in at this point to sell the lots. But we did design it to the required flow rates, so. The proposed gradings for the lots were all reduced to below 3-to-1. Stabilization timeline, again, it's depending on where our areas of disturbance end up being, but silt fences and protection of any open drains, things of that nature are all implemented. Cleanouts, construction entrance, all standard erosion control implementations are in place. Drainage provision, like I said, we went underground, up to the road. Gravel drop inlet protection, that was the wrong,
Yeah, it was just a
yeah,
detail that was off a
they'll be
little
using
bit.
silt socks and, again, woodlot, EPOD boundary, I defined those, and even further defined anything that was, greater than 15%, and anything. I color coded that map for you, so that it's got the more than just the actual boundaries. It's got actual areas that aren't considered within the EPOD that are still steep. Tree protection, we talked about that. Again, depending on our typical, again, that would be up to the developer, but our typical detail, I think, shows about a foot for every 6 inches, I believe, in diameter. The rest of the comments were from the county, and we addressed those issues. Again, EPOD, 100-year floodplain, we are not within the 100-year floodplain, that's down the road. Wetland inventory, we we should have an answer by Wednesday if they want to have a delineation done. If not, it's going to have a 5-year grandfathered layer of, 5 years of not requiring wetland delineation. And signature blocks were added to the plans. I think that addressed all the issues.
Okay. Thank you. I think you got some input to take.
Absolutely, I will
Please
discuss.
have that conversations before you bring it back.
Yeah, we'll do that.
We don't wanna, you know,
We don't want to waste your time in 2 weeks.
and we don't wanna
yeah.
waste yours either. I mean,
If they're not, you know, if they're not willing to do something, then I'll come back and let Michelle know that either they'll withdraw it or determine what they're going to do.
So do,
bring it back at another date, right? You could do that also, right?
So-
We could request to table it again until they make a decision, right?
Because it's on the agenda now. They
it's
have
on
to-
the agenda, advertised as a public hearing, I just sent it to press today, so I don't know what the board would like to, and the applicant would like to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I could be here for the public hearing portion of it, but we wouldn't be doing any kind of a
Approval.
approval presentation unless they have made a decision by then.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the board can still table it.
Okay.
To me, it's more if, I don't think anyone's come so far for public comment for this.
Oh, no, they did. So,
This one?
yeah,
There were a couple.
yeah. And there was somebody that ran the association for, the houses that are built on the cliff there.
Yeah, they wanted to know what was going on, and
Okay.
when we discussed it, they were,
So if
gonna
people
ask,
come,
did
you
you
can
guys
still
meet?
hear it.
yes.
You met with more, I know, before you
Not with the
said,
association.
oh, you met with the association. Could you tell us how that went?
They just wanted to know what was going on, what his plans were, that, you know, it wasn't gonna be some, you know, fly-by-night cottages down there that, you know, were gonna be rented by the week. He wanted, make sure we told him that, the developer that he's gonna sell to, should be, in order to get his infrastructure costs out of it, he should be developing homes comparable to theirs or more. And they were okay with that.
And you also said
Actually
of
had
the- some people were interested.
Some people had some interest in actually purchasing some of the lots for their relative. One had a father that he wanted to build a house for, and the other one had a son that he wanted to move in those lots right across the street. So I mean, they have that option of just selling those lots again, and that might recoup enough of their information that we can make some changes. So, I mean, there's a lot of things I'll discuss with them and see what we can do.
Okay, I mean, just make sure you convey, we want to see them be successful, but.
Absolutely.
We need the information,
I got you.
so,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Ray. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so next on our agenda is case number PB 2025.09.01. Request by Land Tech Surveying and Planning acting as agent for Just Properties LLC for preliminary final site plan approval for the construction of 3 buildings totaling 6 units with attached garages with site-related improvements on premises 5324, 5334, 5340 St. Paul Boulevard, and 8 Second Street in the C Business District.
Good evening, everyone. I'm John Sharaba with Land Tech on behalf of the applicant this evening. And Sal Salatari is here, who is the owner and can answer any questions that I cannot. I know this board has seen this a few times.
Mr. Schreiber, I thought we were only going to be dealing with your apprentice going forward.
Well, I had a pitch hit for him tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, next time. But, I think we've had quite a history with this property. I think back, 2 years ago, this was slated to have 12 units with, retail underneath. We've been burying that back, so now we're down to 3 buildings, 6 units, so there are 3 duplexes. Each duplex will be no more than 2 bedrooms units. So, back in March of this year, we received a special permit from the town board to allow residential development in the C district. And then we made application to the zoning board, for several variances, and we received all our variances back in June. The fact is that on these 4 parcels, it totals just under a half acre. So they're very, very small lots, consistent with the area down in Somerville. So we're actually going from 4 lots to 3 and putting these duplexes up. As I said, the big factor on that I remember, and there's been several public hearings related to that's been a lot of parking. And I think I got a little direction from this board asking, can we do anything more for parking? And I think that was one of the biggest challenges. So with the 6 units, each unit has two-car garage. Excuse me. Each building has 2 parking spots within the garage. Each building has 2 spots outside the garage. So that's a total of 12 spots per building unit. And then we were able to add 4 visitor parking spots. There are 2 along 2nd Street and then 2 along Somerville Drive to add some more visitor parking to this. The reason we did that is because we don't want to put any more driveways or curb cuts on St. Paul Boulevard. Having people back out of that driveway or visitor parking would add more congestion to St. Paul. While I'm talking about St. Paul currently has 3 curb cuts on it, and this application will reduce the curb cuts from 3 to 2. We have some work to do on our plan. We have some utilities we're looking at. All of these lots, all 4 of the lots had development on them at one time. So there's existing cleanouts and water service valves that we're got to reanalyze and take a closer look at so that we can use. Sal's very familiar with the location of that. The other thing to point out for the board benefit is the fact that we're not proposing any basements. These are slab-on-grade homes, so we're not going to be getting into groundwater issues and things like that. It's a very flat site. We only have about 2 foot of pitch throughout the site. It does drain from the sidewalk on St. Paul. It does drain towards the lake, and it's about 1.5 foot of drop through that. Other than that, they're very, it's a real typical residential development. Sal was planning to rent these out. These units are going to be rented somewhere between $1,800 and $2,200 a month, and we're looking for approval. We have provided elevations in the past. I know this is residential development, so we don't really get too far in the weeds on that, but he is working on new plans, and he plans on building and maintaining these for now and in the future. So that's a quick overview of where we've been, and hopefully we can address any comments you have.
I have a quick question. Did you have any comments for your variances?
Comments were from the public, mostly parking.
Okay.
Was a big thing with the public, worried about the quality of the homes or tenants, things like that. I think the town board was encouraged that this development's consistent with the master plan. So they were happy with that new style of house. There is a demand down there, or he wouldn't be doing this. He did own the property when the 2 restaurants were there, and after several years of trying to rent those to a proprietor, it really didn't work out. So this is the direction he's going. He is in the development business. He does maintain other rental properties, so this is in his wheelhouse of his business. So I think it'll be a successful project.
Also, Unit C, I'm just looking at these elevations that are all the front of the building, but I believe that one of the facades on Unit C is going to be facing St. Paul, correct?
Okay? Yep. I have them with me. I can pull them
Oh,
out.
okay. Is there any articulation, or is it just a flat wall? Because that might be something to consider, because it's going to be, along the main thoroughfare there. Unit C, yeah, the
Yeah, so Unit
Oh.
C,
Unit C is on Somerville.
this will be,
She's talking
the side of it?
Oh, the side of it.
Yeah, the
Oh,
side.
the side. Oh, okay.
No, sorry, I meant the side.
oh.
The side,
I don't have any,
right, that, I didn't,
yeah,
I
so
don't
there
think
will
I
be
saw it.
windows. It is a
Okay.
rental unit. The garages are on C, are in the center, so there will opportunities for windows and things such as that, consistent with the front elevation. So I'm sorry I don't have that side
No,
elevation.
well, I can understand, but that's just something that I would consider, since you're gonna have, Unit B and you see the front.
Yep.
And then Unit C, maybe having some sort of articulation or something there.
But give me a little guidance on articulation, more like
It
more
could, I
elements.
mean, it could be, well, to me, it's just like change, so like changes in material, changes in color. I mean, I think windows would be helpful. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just, we like to avoid just flat wall.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
So the building colors and changes are gonna change per unit, you would like to
Sure.
have C change per, so they change per building, but you'd like to change per building?
Like, I don't want to design this for you, right?
Right.
I'm just saying, sometimes you have, like 4 feet of stone, and then you have the rest of the siding above,
Yeah.
or, like, that's what I mean kind of
Okay.
by,
Yeah, well, I think that some of those
material
elements.
change or something like that.
Okay. Yeah,
Just something to think about,
yeah.
yeah.
The final plans are being worked on, and we'll definitely, if there's something that shows up the building permit level on that unit, but I think he wants to, he understands that St. Paul is really the focus
Yes.
of this, project, and we want to adjust that up.
Right, so that's like, because to me, that's the one that I'm like, that's what I'm focused on.
Yep, no,
On
I
that
understand
side,
fully.
because if it's just a house next to a house,
I'll see if I
not
can.
really as worried.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get that elevation,
just something
that
there.
south elevation for that unit, for the public hearing.
Okay, great.
John, one thought could be is, units A and B, you kind of have different exterior looks. A, you got a mixture of horizontal and vertical siding.
Yep.
B, you got horizontal with, I don't know if that's clapboard on the second floor, but you can kind of almost, mirror that with unit C there, whether it's the second story or the first story, just playing around with the orientation of the materials.
Yep, I think Sal's chopping at the bit to talk about that, so.
Please state your name again and your
Dale
address.
Stelteri.
Yep.
I'm the owner of the property. So these are really preliminary concept drawings. So my architect had clear direction that I wanted each unit looking different from each other, not a cookie cutter style home. So there is gonna be the address that the young lady made about facing St. Paul. I specifically told them I want something that looks architecturally nice. I want them to look beautiful, really. So I do plan, and I told him that I wanted some architectural differences on the buildings, so they don't all look the same. That's why these are concept drawings that were just a footprint, but as far as the exterior siding and the material that it's cladded with, they could be, variables. It doesn't necessarily have to be this. It can be, they make several different styles of vinyl siding, simulated stone, brick, different colors. So we have an option to change any of that.
Whatever you want, you'll have to have it on here, because that'll be what's approved.
Right.
So I'm down with all the things that you're saying, but I want to make sure that, what is on the drawings is what is actually going to be built. So between now and then, iron that out so that.
Yeah, well, like I said, these are just concepts, so he's in the process of completing the actual.
And you'll have them
construction
for
style
the
drawing.
final
And right,
approval.
and before we present it for the final, I will
Okay.
go over that with him to make sure that,
Yeah, it sounds like you're on the right track. I just want to make sure that.
I want these to be nice places. That's very personal to me.
So Shelley's biting at the bit. You're gonna be able to do that within the 2 weeks?
I'm hoping. I had a call into my architect, but apparently he's in Vermont playing,
Okay.
so,
All right.
thank you.
So we might have another case, only because obviously you heard the previous case may be short. This one might also have to be moved, if that's what I'm hearing. But have you talked to the residents? Because I believe there was quite a few that came to the last public hearing. I'm trying to remember. We've had a lot of work going on down there. But I seem to recall residents came,
The first public hearing on this.
that was the first public hearing?
We did a town board referral,
Oh, the referral, okay.
on it for the special use permit, and they've been before the zoning board, where you may have seen.
That's probably where I
Yeah,
saw it.
we had a public hearing for the town board and the zoning board, and it was, the people down there are very nervous about what's going here. What the traffic concerns are, things like that, how it's gonna impact their lives. And I think it's really, their biggest impact is how the people that are gonna live here, are they gonna have access to the beach? And how they, all those issues that we really can't control, I know that's sensitive to them. But I think a lot of people say, I have deeded rights to the beach and you don't. We're not saying that these units have rights to the beach other than they can walk down St. Paul and go down that way. But I'm trying to think of any other concerns that are typical in nature. It is going to have, they are going to be residential. It's going to have more people down here. But I think more people want to live down in Somerville. I think
But
they'll
you had a much larger you were trying to do more.
We were trying to do more. We had
So this is
one
more
big
in
building or
tune-
two big buildings with retail below.
I remember that,
And
right.
trying to do business there and that really chewed up the green
Parking,
space and parking demand. And, what I think what we did is by eliminating the access to St. Paul, reducing curb cuts, turning these things, splitting them up, we got definitely some more, and it's hard to see on your plan, but we've got definitely some more green space. But again, we're looking at a half acre for the whole project. So it's not a lot, but if you look at the consistent, the lots down there are 20 by 60 feet long. There are a lot of those tent lots that were down there, so it's very tight.
So
But I
wanted to-
think
I
the
wanted to ask
visitor
a
parking-
question. Yeah, and Michelle and, I need some clarification. So this is a multifamily,
These are two-family,
two-family, right?
two-family, so it's three two-family
Families.
buildings.
And I'm not sure, what I'm wondering is, you didn't provide any kind of landscape plan, so are you just thinking grass? Are you, what I'm trying to ask is, what can we require when it's a two-family? Because to me, it's sort of on the border of being more than just it's like a complex.
Sure, I understand
And,
that.
and versus just three two-family homes. You follow what I'm trying to get at? So
Yeah.
normally we would see a landscaping plan if it was a complex, but you didn't provide anything.
We didn't provide that. Yeah, it's an interesting thought process because we are in a C commercial zone. If we were doing a restaurant here, we'd have lighting, landscaping, but we're doing a single-family site plan with our duplexes. But we can add some landscaping. As you mentioned, Sal is, he wants this to look nice and he wants it to be part of it. And, we can add some elements
Just
of
be nice
landscaping.
to know, like, if it's all grass, just tell us it's all grass. I mean, we'd like to know what it is.
Yeah. So some of those things, it's a good point. I'm glad you brought it up, Ernie. Another issue I think that came up was snow storage. Where are you gonna put the snow? So we can look into things like that. I'll add some landscaping information to the plan.
Okay, and are you planning on meeting with well, no, it's 2 weeks. You don't plan on meeting with the residents on this at all? Get any more input from them?
I welcome their feedback. I think I know what they're gonna say, because I've seen them twice. There's really no mechanism to, I mean, I can go door to door, but other than don't build it, and, I might not go far.
If I recall, not all of them were against something happening on it.
Some of them like the fact that development's happening,
Right.
and it's residential in nature.
Say for garbage pickup,
There'll be totes.
like each apartment,
They'll each have two totes, and they can,
House.
and, hopefully in the garage. If not, we'll have to have other space. But there's no dumpster proposed or anything like that.
So if people wanted to do their own landscaping, they could do it in front of their house?
Yeah, this is a private, so, not that it's happening, but, Sal could sell building C to one person. Him and his mom can move there and they can have their own lot, and it's
yeah.
really, that's one of the challenges why we're talking about this. But I think, if I put suggested landscaping or minimum requirements, like 2 street trees per unit, something like that, might work.
I think that sounds really nice.
Yeah, something like that would be great.
Yeah.
I mean,
The one thing that we talked about, we got back into the building, and I think one of my previous application last month, we got into building elevations. It sounds like I don't think, in my personal and professional opinion, that his architect's gonna have plans ready for 2 weeks, maybe to the detail. So this board won't be able to approve this project without house plans. Is that the direction we're going? Because at normal residential, we don't worry about that.
well, so it's that word normal residential,
Right,
right?
so I gotta,
Well, put it to you this way, the residents are gonna have a lot to say, right? So
Yes.
the more we have, it handles all of that, right? And everybody's happy at the end, so
yeah.
if it works. I don't know what's your time frame? Like? Okay.
As you guys approve it, I'd like to start construction. So, I don't really.
Sal, can you come up to the mic, please?
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I started this quite a few years ago originally, so we've met, I think 3 times with actually the neighbors. 2 times this year, I think it was, and time a year or so before. So I have talked to some of them, but I'm not gonna reach out to every neighbor. I don't know that it's my
I
place.
think you've taken a lot of the comments, that you've addressed the parking, you've addressed the
Well,
residential.
this
right?
went from, this is 180 degrees from what it was originally, so it's day and night. And with John's,
So we don't,
ideas and his
we want to
talent.
approve something that isn't complete. So to answer your question, I think the more complete, we got a better chance of getting this
Right.
through. So,
At this point, I couldn't tell you what kind of trees or shrubs or.
I don't think we're looking
I
for-
couldn't be specific on that.
yeah, John, you were gonna address how you can handle that.
So I'll do the specific issues of those landscaping, but going back to the architectural, if within the timing we have, especially for the public hearing, if we have elements that you like if we're gonna have, the front 4 foot of the wall along St. Paul's and a stone element, can we get by with that amount of detail and requirements other than the exact color of the stone and the color of the shutters and the color of the siding? That's what I tend to get bogged down in that, and that will stop us from moving forward, because he doesn't, so I don't know how to get there, Bernie. I'll rely on you, but I look forward. I'll have as much as I can do in 2 weeks. I just don't have a lot of faith that we're gonna have final plans, architectural drawings in 2 weeks. I could have these,
But you're looking for preliminary and final,
yes.
all right.
So that's the challenge.
That was gonna be my suggestion of giving them preliminary.
Well, right, but you're looking for,
So I could take it from my position, right, as a site engineer, I'm gonna come in here with all the planning issues addressed, all the engineering issues addressed, and I can't come back to you because I'm not drawing the house plans. And we'll be stuck, similar to another project, where I'm not coming in for 6 months, or a year. Because that's where we are. And it's not a bad thing, it's just a process, however we gotta navigate that, we will. But that's why I'm kinda leaning on, can we have elements that are requirements of the prints?
I would say come in as complete as possible.
Yeah, exactly. And because again, with 2 weeks, I don't know the workload of the architect, but if there's certain elements that must be, but it's nothing we have to decide tonight. If you like what we show in a couple weeks, maybe it'll work, but if not,
Well, is there anything specific that they want? I mean,
I think they want, and I think
Something
John.
on that wall that's along, at least
Yeah,
that's for me. I don't know what the rest of,
Yeah, I
I
think
agree with that.
Side elevations.
I think the side elevations of each unit will help because they have, so the south elevation of unit C and probably the west elevations of A and B would be helpful because they're both on the street.
So I added in my notes, which I will share with you guys, to submit color elevation showing all the other sides of the structures just besides the front.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I agree with what John pointed out. You have differentiation of materials on the other two buildings, but not on Unit C. I think that would be a good carryover to break that up somehow, and perhaps use that as a way to break up the massing for the facade on St. Paul Boulevard. I think we're all on the same page. We just want to see the details of it.
Yeah.
The other thing that I would suggest is, so you went through the comp plan and you did a nice job of showing how this development is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and I agree. The only thing that I am noticing is, aside from Unit A, all the garages are pushed back, which is great, and I'm wondering if in conversations with your architect, when you choose a color for the garage doors, if you could use a darker color to try to get those doors to visually recede as much as possible. The lighter colors really make them jump out, like on whatever page this is of the master plan, and B, it shows that as a not to do, but
Right.
I understand the situation, and a way to mitigate that might be the use of a darker color.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying about the architectural information, and we'll try to provide more information in a couple weeks. But I appreciate those comments, Will.
I have another question on Somerville. So I know that the neighbors were really concerned about parking, and you've added 2 additional visitor parkings on either side of the driveway. My concern is that makes that paved surface, I mean, it must be like 40 plus feet.
Yeah, 40 feet.
Which seems, I like the way that you addressed it over on 2nd Street by putting that pad. I don't have a better suggestion for you, but I'm hesitant about this I mean, it's quite a length of pavement, and I don't know if there's any other way that you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think, if you don't mind if I could bring these up to you, this is, the same way, I just took a couple snapshots out of, so it's a sea of asphalt right now. And that, Brad, is that's the whole length of Somerville, our whole frontage, because obviously it was a parking lot for a restaurant. So we are gonna we're gonna be knocking out, 20 foot of that asphalt on each side at a minimum, so we'll have some opportunities to landscape those. But you're
I mean,
point is
yeah,
well
it's
taken.
better than it was,
Yeah,
but
it's still not the best.
yeah, it's not the best.
Yeah. But it's a
It's heading
significant.
in the right direction, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I mean, you have the units and you have the parking spaces.
Yeah.
You have an area for visitor parking over here. I know that
Don't park.
I wouldn't, personally, I wouldn't pressure you to have both or, I just,
Yeah, because it's logical to put another section on St. Paul.
but you
It's just-
can't, and I understand
I just
why.
think that's gonna make it a worse situation.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you're heading in the right direction, but it's
Yeah.
different opinions.
If that's the biggest issue we have, I think we all win.
You might want to share those down there. Make sure, Michelle, that you get a copy.
I know that there'd been some concern about density, but I'm curious, you know, historically, there were probably houses on all of these lots. I don't know if you know how recently the houses were removed, but it doesn't seem to me, from a high-level overview, that this is more dense than the area would have been 50 years ago.
I agree with you. I couldn't give that information. Obviously, the restaurant came down
Sure.
about 5 years ago. But there's an existing house still there. And that's the center lot on St. Paul. And I'm sure the people in a couple weeks will be able to tell us in great detail. But I think we've gone a long way. And, you know, the density, and Sal continues to massage the plan and actually reduce it. He had 3-bedroom units. So we reduced it no more than 2. So that's going to help the situation.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, he's went 180 degrees from the original plan. We do listen, and so he's only going to the maximum of 2 units per building, or 2-bedroom per unit.
John, I had a question on the proposed visitor parking on Second Street.
Yes.
Is that gonna be right on that lot line, or is there gonna be,
We're gonna put them right on the lot line, and we're gonna put an easement, cross-access easement over that.
okay,
Because I was figuring that these people are really gonna want to control their visitor parking. So I thought we'd give one to Unit A, one to Unit B.
right.
And put an easement over that.
So, just check the zoning code, I'm not sure if it's the zoning code or if it's the chapter 199, that
Besides, for setback to property line. Oof. Yeah,
2 foot, I believe it's 2 foot, so you might need 4 foot in between there.
okay,
Maybe like a median landscaping island, I don't know,
all right,
just a thought,
yeah,
okay.
all right, thank you.
Then, John, just one other item, it's very minor. You know, the backs of these units, you know, it's Somerville, it's down near the lake. I'm assuming at some point tenants are gonna want, you know, picnic table, grills, so I don't know if you wanna just show like generic patios off there, just showing that the tenants have, you know, that available. You know, maybe some fencing along the perimeter just for, you know, the properties to the north, just for some buffering and screening. And then getting back to the elevations too, you know, even some shutters on there too will help break it up too. Yeah.
Yeah, so John, I think, going to your point about some patios and areas like that, I'll add a landscape sheet to this and we'll identify those. And I believe that we are proposing a board-on-board fence along the north property line to create some separation.
That's on the map, or no, that's the existing?
There's an existing one.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's in disrepair, but
Okay, any other questions or comments? Anything, other input you're looking for?
nope, I'm looking forward to bringing this to completion for you guys, and it's been a good process working with the town board, and they're accepting their vision of the master plan. I feel we were in line with more of the master plan when it was more dense, but you know, we pared it back and we got what we have, and I think it'll Sal make a successful project down here.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Michelle, does that conclude our business? Yes, sir. I move that we adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Go ahead, put that together. Adjourned.